there! So I just finished sewing this lapel collar with a hood, and the pattern is by Viki Sews. If you don't know who Viki Sews is a Russian pattern designer, and I really love her patterns, but this is the first time that I tried Viki Sews pattern, and I just wanted to share with you my experience trying hair pattern for the first time. So yeah, I filmed all of it, and you will see that I had some mistakes, but I think these mistakes were my fault and not the pattern issues. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. First things first, here are all the materials I will use. I have the pattern already printed, taped and cut out. Then for the materials, the pattern calls for one fabric for both outer layer and lining and separate insulation material, but I couldn't find any of the latter, but I found this already quilted puffer jacket kind of thing. So I decided to use that as my main fabric, and then some thin regular raincoat fabric for the lining. Besides that, I will use metal eyelets, and I have a plier for them, a zipper, and obviously some matching thread. According to the instructions, the first thing to do is to connect insulation to outer layer pieces and make quilting stitches. But because my fabric is already quilted, I skipped that, and then you have to trim seam allowance because some of it I assume gets eaten by quilting, and then you have to throw the pieces to trimmed pattern pieces. So I figured I would trim allowance straight away and then cut everything out like that. I cut everything from the lining and then from the main fabric. If you do it the way I do, remember to double check to use right hood pieces because there are separate pieces for the inner hood and for the outer hood. Also remember that in a fabric like this, pins leave permanent holes. I used pins anyway, but only within the seam allowance, so all the holes would be hidden inside the finished garment. And here are all the pieces ready for sewing. There are some notches on the pattern, and I marked them with clips to avoid using pins across the material. I've never used a fabric like that before, so I did a trial run and everything looked just fine. Then I decided to get eyelets done because I've never done it before, so it was a bit of a scary part. So I opened the eyelets and decided to test it on some scraps first. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a hot minute to figure out how to use the toolset included with the eyelets, and I had to check out an instruction video, but after I did it, it went quite well. I cut 3 small pieces of the lining to use on the inside to strengthen the spot. I don't know why, but I had some trouble detaching the tool from the eyelet, but in the end I guess they turned out okay. After that, I stitched the outer hood together because I used almost all my clips there, and then shoulder seams. As you can see, the back piece was a bit wider than the fronts, and that's because I cut the seam allowance wrong because I confused lines on my ruler, but I think it's fine and I just decided to trim it a bit. Then I pinned and sewed the hood to the bodice. The lining I did 100% the same method, and so these are lining and outer pieces just before joining them together, and also I tried them on and I found them quite cute. That's when it started going downhill though. I'm kidding, but yeah, my troubles started here. So I put the pieces right sides together and sewed the bottom edge and the side edge. Then I realized the lining is a bit shortened than the outer piece, and I should realize something went wrong at this point, but I didn't. I just trimmed it to make it even. Then I also sewed hoods together. I turned it right side out and tried it on again and proceeded to the next step, which is the zipper. I opened it, and one side I started pinning right sides together to one edge of the front, starting at the bottom, so if it is too long I can just shorten it from the top, which did happen. Then I closed the zipper, and on the piece not sewn yet, I marked all the lines that I would like to match so I can make sure to align them on the other side. I pinned it, trying my best to match all the lines, and then sewed it as well. This is how I managed to match all the lines, and I was quite happy, except on the hood, which only now I realized wasn't really symmetrical at all, but it's fine. Then I removed the zipper teeth at the top to make it fit, and I turned the whole thing back to the wrong side and started pinning the lining to the zipper. And then I realized some disaster happened and lining is shortened than the outside layer. I decided to proceed anyway, pinned from the bottom and folded the main fabric inside from the top a bit. Why this happened, I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't throw the pieces to the pattern well, but I really have no clue, as both layers were cut based on the same exact pattern pieces. But anyway, this kinda somehow worked when I checked it on the right side, but it didn't look great. I was kinda over it on that point, and I decided to just sew it and then to do the final step, which is cutting all the corners, turning it back to the right side, folding the hem on the back inside, and top stitching close to the edge to close it. Still warm from the machine, I tested it outside, and this is how it looks on this super windy day. I really like it, and although there is clearly something wrong, I'm definitely gonna use it a lot. Also later I decided I can't live with this bent zipper, and I redid it. It looks better, but it still makes the hood lay funny. But it's staying like that because I don't think I can really fix it at this point. Like I said, I love it anyway. Okay, so that's it. I hope you liked it. If so, then make sure to click the thumbs up. And let me know if you ever tried any patterns by Viki Sews and which ones, because I really want to try more. Like I said, the mistakes that are made are probably my fault. So yeah, if you want to see more sewing and sometimes cross-stitch related content from me, then consider subscribing. And I think that's it for today, so see you in the next one. Bye!